Welcome to Season 3, Episode 5 of the Rebel podcast. I am your host, Michael Dargy, and so sorry for it taking so long to get this episode out. We've got a million excuses, but not one good one. We went and recorded all these, then went on vacation. The idea would be that we'd be editing them on vacation. I decided to take some time off and enjoy the sea turtles. When I came back, the world was upside down, so we've had a bit of a struggle to get back up to speed. But here they come. So this first show, back from the brink, is with Byron Brooks of Brookwright Developments, and he talks about starting his career in the trades and then building a home building company and then building a social network dedicated to builders and trades working together. It's awesome. Not only that, we talk about skateboard ramps, half-pipes, unicycles, and why you shouldn't ride one. There's a whole bunch of stuff in here, including craft beer, which is awesome. We'd love your support. Check us out at patreon.com/rebelrebelpod. We've got a lot of great episodes coming up. We really, truly appreciate your support. Make More Creative, who produces this podcast, they're also supporting a website called crooklook.com, which is a free service that connects mask makers with mask wearers around the world. There's a PayPal donation button on the front page to help pay for the developers, bandwidth, hosting, and to continue to add and support the makers of the world. We are all in this together, people, so let's do what we can to save the world. Welcome to Kensington Studio. I am sitting here with Byron Brooks. How's it going?
It's going pretty good. Thanks for having me out.
Yeah, for sure. So the weather's not bad, which is nice. Only a little bit of snow.
Yeah, no, I want yesterday. I fully tricked myself into the idea that it's spring, so this was a bit of a shock when I woke up this morning. But we just roll with it here in Calgary. That's what we do.
It's kind of what we do. Let's just get this right out in the open. You are a construction guy. You're a community builder. You do some really cool shit. Can you bring us up to speed?
Yeah, for sure. Yes. So I have a custom home building company. I have been in the trades ever since my high school principal invited me to leave a little bit early. Academics just wasn't my scene. So I pursued my carpentry career after that and got right into my apprenticeship when I lived in Vancouver. Okay. And kind of never looked back from there. And that's part of what I hoped we'd get into today. Is I wanted to talk about just the opportunities that a trades career can offer people who have no other path otherwise, because it's worked out for me, and just the breadth of opportunities that exist within the construction and design industry, all of which the trades feed into, I think is a really there's some really compelling ideas in there. Yeah. And I think one thing that attracts me to this idea too is that you don't have to sit in an office and do stuff. You can actually work with your hands. You can build stuff. You can actually make a difference in the physical world as opposed to this ethereal thing. Yeah, absolutely. And it's completely overlooked. Like, in that the technical training through an apprenticeship, a lot of people just don't know how that's structured. I was speaking with a colleague in the States yesterday, and he was saying that all the the Canadian builders that he talks to are really on point. They know their shit. Wow. And he was asking, why do you think that is? And I said, I bet you that's because of our strong interprovincial apprenticeship system. Oh. And the technical training, so me for carpentry in BC, you work with a firm, so you're signed up under a carpenter, and then you go to trade school 8 weeks a year. And then you're working the rest of the year. So you're making money, you're getting some education both in the field and in a classroom setting. And then you come out of that with just a list of jobs you can choose from. So it's pretty cool. And people don't, at least when I was growing up, it was not certainly offered as as the first choice for what you should do after high school. Everybody was kind of well, if you really buckle down, maybe you can get into community college. Right. And I kind of tend to think, fuck that. We can I can go work right now and enjoy what I'm doing. So so that's how I kind of ended up here as I did that apprenticeship and kept ending up in leadership roles, and then came to recognize that my power to do good work in whatever field was amplified through the people around me rather than by me just grinding and trying to work 70 hours a week. Now I have an amazing team around me, and we've kind of expanded that a little bit through some of the networking that we've done. That's awesome. I was totally scoping out your website, which is, you guys do some crazy cool projects. Holy shit. So, and this is not a shameless plug. Maybe it is, but it's brookwright.ca. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And damn, Yeah.
Like,
We've been people ask us that. So we've been blessed to work with some really good clients. That's what makes good projects. We found really good clients and really good architects. And to be clear, Brookwright is by no means me. My partner Brian has been in the construction industry here in Calgary for many decades.
Yeah.
And so he just brings a wealth of experience. So him being out in the field managing things allows me to do cool stuff like this and hang out with you.
That's awesome.
And yeah, so we've done some really big houses and we've done some really interesting design, and that comes through clients that are kind of willing to place a complete faith in their build and design teams and really sort of push the envelope on what's possible in residential construction here in Calgary.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you do stuff outside of Calgary or just?
Yeah, actually, we're building a house out in Canmore right now.
Nice.
With architects out of Bozeman, Montana.
Yeah.
So that's been kind of fun, and that's a big project. I was just getting an update from the guys this morning about how that's going. We've got a big, complicated steel structure and timber frame structure that's going up there in the next couple of months. So we're trying to get all the pieces lined up to make sure that rolls out smoothly.
Very cool. So you did your schooling in Vancouver?
Yep.
Now you're from Calgary?
No, I'm not actually. I am a happy Calgary conversion. I grew up all over the place. So my dad was going to school while we were growing up. I was the oldest of 5 kids. Yeah. So it was funny. My wife and I were talking about this the other day. We've lived in our house now for 6 years, and that's the longest I've lived in one house in my whole life.
Wow.
So we moved 23 times, or I personally moved 23 times by the time I was 21.
Holy.
Which is like, it's a weird big number, but I think it was interesting. And I think everybody should move a couple times because it's painful, yes, because you leave people, but it affords you the opportunity to tweak things about your own self that you wouldn't otherwise get the opportunity to do because you're beholden to the ideas that other people have of you, right?
Yeah,
so it's very difficult to rattle that.
So you can sort of reinvent yourself as you go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which was a neat opportunity in retrospect. Like I said, it was painful at times when you would leave friends, but now I have a network of friends all over the country. Yeah, that's really interesting. So,
what's your maybe this is a terrible question to ask? What's your favorite place that you lived?
Oh, that's not a terrible question. So I was talking to a woman from Ottawa the other day, and I really did like southwestern Alberta or southwestern Ontario. Yeah, excuse me. Because that's where some of my most formative years were. So through like grade 8 up through high school, and just like living in a rural setting there. We were in a farming community, and some of the friendships that I developed there, I still have to this day. We're going to Florida with some of our Ontario friends in a week here, actually. Very cool. But one thing I appreciated, what I was speaking with the Ottawa lady about, is that the seasons. There's like 4 clear seasons in Calgary. Right? It's just kind of 2 big, sort of muddled together seasons. Yeah. And random. And it can be random. It could snow in June. Yeah. But that's one thing I appreciated about living there. But there were different little things, and I've come to really, really appreciate Calgary for having that kind of rural attitude and how you deal with other people, like how friendly Calgary is. I've been here for 9 years now, and I can go to Chinook and I'll run into somebody I know, right? And you start to understand how small the different industries within Calgary are. So
the smallest big city in Canada, I think.
Absolutely, and that's easy to say, but I see that borne out in my day-to-day activities all the time, which is really cool. So I would have to say that it might have been Southern Ontario for a portion of time, but I love this area, and I love the opportunities that are afforded with a 3-hour drive from here, all the cool shit you can see.
Yeah, it's outstanding. Mm-hmm. That's really cool. So you've, just to sort of segue a little bit, oh wait, hold on. I want to ask you one thing. Yeah. Tell me about your bike ramp.
My bike ramp. Oh man, so we lived in Edmonton. So man, are there a lot of Edmonton listeners? Edmonton was one of the least.
In 49 countries.
Edmonton was one of the least favorite places I ever lived, and my dad actually lives there now. But my memories of Edmonton are having walking to school and having a frozen piece of pizza thrown at my head. and that's like my lasting memory of living in Edmonton. But also, while we lived in that house in Edmonton, I was in like the 6 to 9 year old range, so prime bike ramp territory.
Yeah.
And I remember stacking up 3 milk crates and like a 10-foot 2x6,
Yeah.
and just hucking it off that thing in the back alley and being so pumped that I stuck the landing that I went to do like an arm raise and just totally fucking biffed it, and like full body flesh wound, and just like, and my mom was just like, what have you done? So that was a really crappy bike ramp. I went on to build quite a bit more solid ones after that. And when I was in Vancouver actually as well, I somehow got looped into this BMX and unicycle community. So I built a couple of half pipes.
Oh, sweet.
For a unicycle half pipe guy.
What?
I was like, because I pursued it just because I'm like, how the fuck does this even work?
Yeah.
Like, and I tried once and failed hard because it's almost impossible. And so now, and then it's neat. So I'd never connected those two, but it's funny how those experiences translated into my work now are site signs, like our standard site safety sign that you see everywhere, like wear a hard hat, don't be drunk. Ours also has we have a strict no drugs, alcohol, and unicycles policy on our job sites. I never realized that was connected to this. So yeah, so really crappy back alley ramps up to more solid ramps for myself, and then a couple of half pipes as I was further in my carpentry career.
That's awesome. If I ever land in a place that I decide to stay forever, I'm going to build a half pipe. It's been my dream. I used to ride one on BMX like when I was a kid.
Oh, sweet!
And I think I could still do it.
Yeah. I think you could after this. Let's go. Yeah. No, the friends of mine, some of our back neighbors, they have a half pipe in their backyard, and it's awesome just to like walk past their house and you can hear the boards, like, and you can hear kids like just playing in there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's wicked. You also have a passion for craft beer.
Yeah.
And you've created this community called Builders and Brews.
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. If you could sort of tell me how that came about and what you're doing with it, because it's really cool.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I'm very excited about that. So I enjoy my work, and we've managed to be quite successful in it, and so I have been looking around for ways to kind of share that and get others involved in that. And one of the experiences that I had a couple of years ago is we were working at Annex Ales, one of the craft breweries over in the Barley Belt.
Yeah, the Barley Belt. Awesome.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other story now, apparently. But they... So anyway, so we were in there fitting out their tap rooms. So we're building all like the bar, and we're building the stuff behind the bar. And we'd be in there working, me and my guys, and the guys from Banded Peak would come in, and I'd say, like, what are you guys doing here? Like, this isn't ostensibly your competitors. Like, you're literally just down the road, selling the same product to the same people. Like, and the guys said, oh, we're here because we just want to make sure we screwed up setting up this piece of equipment when we set up our brewery, and we want to make sure Andrew doesn't do the same thing. So we're here to help him with this piece of equipment. I said, oh shit, that's cool. Like, that doesn't happen in my world. Nobody shows up with like a load of extra 2x4 and says, hey, here you go. So I thought, okay, that's a weird one-off, but let's just keep working. So then a few days later, a different set of brewers would come in with a pallet full of bags, and I'd say, what the heck are you guys doing here? They're like, oh, we had extra hops from this order that we did, and we know Andrew and Erica need some for this batch of beer they're brewing, so we thought we'd just drop it off. Okay, super cool. Again, we've got a bit of a pattern going, so I'm keeping a better eye on this now. And then another few days later, as we're just finishing our work, they have more people come in with kegs. I'm like, wait a minute, you guys are from another brewery and you're dropping kegs off at your competition. Like, why? Oh, because they wanted to have some of our beer on tap when they open, so that they'll have cold beer to serve to their clients when these doors fly open. Wow. So I said, oh man, this is really weird, and I got to find out more about this. So I started talking to more of the craft brewers, the folks from Annex specifically, which is still one of my favorite craft breweries, by the way. Yeah. And conveniently on my commute home. But I said, like, what's going on? Like, how come this is happening? Yeah. Like I said, this doesn't happen in my industry. And so they said, no, we've come to recognize that by building each other up locally and helping each other with marketing and physical resources and knowledge, and human resources, we're better together than we are apart. And it enables them to build each other up, to slice off a bigger piece of the overall beer pie in town. Because they recognize that their competition isn't each other locally. Their competition is Budweiser or InBev or Sapporo or these great big multinational companies.
Yeah.
And so they've been quite successful with that strategy in the last few years. So I looked at that and I said, like, why doesn't my industry do this? Like, there's nothing holding us back from having that type of collaboration. So I reached out to a few of my colleagues on Instagram, both so across the whole range of kind of our industry and people I interact with, both sub-trades, my outright, again, my competition, other builders, designers, and vendors, other people that are involved, and said, guys, like, this is the experience that I had. How can we emulate this in our industry? And so from that, Builders and Brews was born. And what it's been thus far, so we started just over a year ago with our first event, where we hosted at Prairie Dog Brewing, which was great, and we had an architect and an interior designer come out and explain their unique approach to the pre-construction process. Because one fundamental problem in the construction industry is this, like, is the race to the bottom, kind of competing for bids. Yeah. And when you're doing interesting projects, especially like some of the stuff that we've been blessed to perform, that's not the best way to do it, because you'll always get somebody that'll tell you kind of, it's going to cost you. What's your budget? 200,000. Oh yeah, I can do it for that. Like, let's get started. But everyone kind of knows that that's not really going to happen, whether it's change orders or just outright mistakes or whatever. Yeah. So getting away from competitively bidding projects, and this architect, Ken from Peak Design, and Kevin Gray, actually, who you had on your podcast. Oh, yeah. So Kevin Gray came and did a lesson for everybody on this is how you do the pre-construction process in a way that allows you to get paid for your work. The clients get a solid deliverable at the end, and they explained their process in like a half an hour presentation, and then we just hung out and had beer. So that was our first event, and it was really good, and those guys did a great job. And I had a couple other builders reach out to me after and say, you know what, since we had that event, I haven't bid anything for free, and my enjoyment of my work has increased dramatically. That's awesome. I was like, holy shit. And then so that kind of queued it up for me, where it's like, okay, wait a minute, if we can share more of these ideas and work together, and to see some of like just the relationships that got formed there, because networking's hard, and networking's especially hard if you're a tradesperson who kind of, you get in your own circle and you don't even know where to look, right? So there's not many opportunities in town for designers and builders and trades all to be in the same room, just having a beer together in a casual setting. So that was the first event just over a year ago on pre-construction. Then following that, we had the guys from Brookfield Residential. They built a very interesting passive house here in town last year. So kind of pushing the envelope on green building. It's sort of the highest standard for green construction out there. So they came in, did a presentation on that, and that was at Tool Shed Brewing. Nice. Again, well received. And then we did late in the summer, we did a family fun one at one of our members, Adara Technologies. We had a bouncy castle, and we got we afforded people the opportunity to meet their coworkers' spouses and families, because you often hear about these people, but it doesn't again, like bringing the human connection in. Like, we're all humans, we all have stuff going on outside of our work, so let's try and bring some of that together. And then our most recent one was I think we had almost 100 people there, and we hosted that at Trade Space, and we had Habitat for Humanity come in and do a presentation on like on how we as an industry can support the great work that they're doing. Wow. And so their presentation was really cool. And I similarly we got a note from Leanne at Habitat a few weeks later saying, hey, thanks again for having us out. And we've already had a few people reach out to us about how we can get involved.
Amazing.
One thing Habitat has, and not everybody knows about it, is their restores. Like, so they sell used and new building materials. Like that pallet of 2x4s that I was joking about that my competitor never drops off. Well, they can drop it off at the restore. They get a tax credit for it, and then Habitat either sells it at a discount to people that need it, or puts it into one of their projects.
Outstanding.
so that was really, really cool. And we actually have a renovation coming up. We were just talking about it yesterday, where we're taking the kitchen out and sending that over to the Restore. So it was just opening people's minds to the possibilities that exist for giving back. So that's going to be our pattern going forward, is that every December we're going to do a giving back event where we can find a charity that we can help promote their message and support them.
Holy crap!
Yeah, that was a long shit. I talked a lot there. Sorry, but that was
well.
But it's something.
That's what you're here to do.
Yeah, I suppose. But it's something. It's something I'm very passionate about, and the response to it has been amazing. Like people. I have people that are volunteering, people that are offering to sponsor, and again, it's not just me. That message that I learned a long time ago about my power to do work is amplified through others, and others in this case have really stepped up. So it's been cool. We have a guy named Stefan that helps run it for us, and a couple of guys that are helping us with the social media from Method Visual. And yeah, so it's been really cool.
That's outstanding. And it sort of begs the question, every other industry, could you do the same thing?
I've been thinking about that, because I actually have some oil and gas colleagues that are like, wait, our industry doesn't have that either. And I've been trying to think about that and look at the future of where this could go. And so also as a reaction to this, so like there are always more bureaucratic like industry associations. Yeah. And so the way I kind of choose to think about it, and maybe this is a long-winded answer to a relatively simple question, but the way we look at, so the Calgary Construction Association or Build Alberta, great organizations, but I think they represent the commodity side of our industry, where tract housing is essentially a commodity business. You're building homes for people, and that's great, and they need to be well designed, but in the end, you want to drive down input costs and keep sales costs as high as you can. Yeah. And then it could be soybeans. That's not what we as Brookwright or what Builders and Brews represents. Builders and Brews represents the craft, again, to the craft beer. Yeah. We represent the craft side of the industry, where the total value you're getting isn't effectively measured in dollars and cents. It's measured in the experience you've had while you're going through that process and the connections you've made while you're going through that process. Yeah. Just like you could go to the store and you could get a Budweiser for $1.70 a can or whatever, but you go over to Annex and you don't balk at paying $5 for a pint because you're getting better beer and you're getting a better experience overall. Yeah, and so a local story. Yeah, so I think that's how we're trying to kind of shift the messaging and shift the educate the public on and educate consumers on how we're different and how we care about our craft. That
is so cool. Mm-hmm. I just love that. I mean, this whole show is about creative rebels and entrepreneurs, and you check all those boxes. I just love it because you're thinking different. I love this idea of stronger together than we are apart, and how that builds community. It's outstanding.
Yeah. Yeah, and like I said, it's been neat to see. So you asked, can we apply this to other industries? Yeah. I think yes, because I think that I think a lot of people are recognizing that while we're in different industries, ultimately we're service businesses. Like it's the one thing humans can do better than robots. Like we can be empathetic and we can be compassionate. Right. So I think we have to kind of lean into that as an industry a little bit and make it a better experience for clients.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's aspirational.
Yeah. So we'll see where it goes. Or I'm full of shit. I'm also actually I was saying this to somebody the other day that I'm getting to a phase of like I feel like something's got to happen because I'm starting to believe some of my own bullshit. I don't know if you've ever been in that phase before. Oh yeah. So if anybody's listening and thinks I sound like an idiot, please call me and let me know.
Yeah, right. Well, I don't know. Litmus test. It sounds awesome. Yeah. And I think that because you put it into practice, it is real, and obviously other people respond well to it. Yeah. And I think that really, I don't think it's just a Calgary thing, but anecdotally, I think that's what I understand is that we all want to work together for the best. Shit. Yeah. Right. Like it's fine. We can put stuff aside. There's plenty of work for everybody. Mm-hmm. And yeah, we're better when we work together. So let's kick ass. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And the construction industry specifically is very, very slow to change. Sure. We're held back like that old adage. I don't know if it's an adage because it's terrible advice, but well, it's just the way we've always done it.
Sure.
Is absolutely prevalent in construction. I think that's what we're trying to do, is rattle some of those cages and say it doesn't have to be the way we've always done it. Like,
look at this over here.
If I'm bidding against one of my competitors and if the client asks me what I think of them, I'm going to tell them the honest answer. Those guys are great. I would hire them to build my house if I wasn't a builder.
Yeah.
And that's
awesome.
It doesn't belittle me. It increases those clients' confidence in the work that they're getting from those people. So
that's awesome.
I think it's pretty powerful.
What are 5 things that people should know? Doesn't have to be, just doesn't have to be a huge crazy answer. It doesn't have to be about construction or building. What are 5 things that people need to know?
Okay. I think, like I said before, maybe you don't necessarily have to move to change things about your personality. So I think one thing people should know is to look at themselves and say, how many things am I doing because they're the things I want to do, or because they're the things other people want me to do? That's one. Yeah. Another one, which is closely related, and it's something we use in our work, is, and this is from, I think, maybe Tim Ferriss or some other podcast, but the metric of, if it's not a hell yes, it's a no. And if we have the heebie-jeebies about a project, we just walk away. And I think it's scary when you're developing a business, but I think we're better for it, because it's enabled us to be open to opportunities, to align with the right people when those come across.
Awesome.
That's 2 things. Third thing, I suppose, and this is more of a personal one, take care of yourself. I got to a place last year where I was just like working too hard and just grinding, and I wasn't taking care of myself. So then I have tried to be more intentional. It was funny. So I did this full physical thing, and the nurse was asking me, like, so how stressed out are you? I'm like, well, I don't know. I suppose I have 13, 14 people on my team, and we got this project over here and that over there, and I got kids at home and all this. And but I said, but I don't think I'm that stressed out. And she showed me like this chart thing that they did. She's like, here's your physical stress. That's pretty normal. Here's your some other cardio response. That's pretty normal. Here's your mental stress. And it was like bang, bang, bang off the top of the chart. I was like, oh, okay. So self-care. So don't shy away from that. And since I've started that a few months ago, I feel way better. And that trickles out into everything in my life. That's 3. I don't know if I can come up with 2 more.
I believe in you.
You believe in me?
I believe in you.
I believe in yourself. That's number 4. No.
Nicely done.
Okay, let's do some we'll do 2 construction related ones.
Yeah, sure.
So so do what you say. So let's say if you're a sub-trade. Yeah. If you're a sub-trade and you want to work with a builder, do what you say you're going to do. That's simple, but have integrity. It sounds so basic, but it means a lot. But it means a lot on the build side. Yeah. And then the last one, again, if you're a sub-trade looking to work for a builder or an employee of a builder, go out of your way to set the other people around you up for success. And maybe that means like cleaning up your area after you're done, because you know the plumber needs to be in that area the next day. Maybe that means not taking the easiest path with your ducting, because you know, and all trades know how they relate to other trades. If you move it over 10 inches, the plumber has a sweet spot where he can put his vent lines. Right. So work with integrity and set other people around you up for success. And I think that's just generally good advice, but on a job site, it's really good advice, because you want things to be predictable and you want people to enjoy their work.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Those are great. Those are 5 great things.
Oh, good.
I love
it. Sweet. Thanks.
At this part of the show, I like to ask for some really specific advice about business, because a lot of people that listen to this podcast are either entrepreneurs, wantrepreneurs, small business people thinking to pivot, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I call them rebels in waiting.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to rebels in waiting that are maybe just about to start a business or thinking about pivoting? What's the thing that
I would say so, and I've had this experience. I would not hesitate to reach out to people you aspire to emulate, because most of them were in the same spot you were at some point, and would be happy to share their experience. So in my context, and I've done it, there are builders that I admire. And again, Instagram has become a powerful tool for this. Just this morning, I was having a conversation with guys from Nikon Contracting in Vancouver. They put up a graphic where they're describing how their recycling program is working. So they have a graph that says like, we recycled this much wood and this much metal, this much plastic, and then 25% went to waste. And so I want to know how that works. So I sent them a direct message. Now they got back to me and sent me some of their blog posts, and now I'll continue that conversation. But so if you're trying to develop a business, find somebody you want to emulate and just reach out to them. That can be your first low intensity step, and I'm sure they'll be happy to have that conversation with you.
That's awesome. And I guess it falls into that same idea of, the working together that we were talking about earlier, that really people don't mind sharing information that they have or lessons they've learned.
Yeah. And people, and like architects and designers and builders, people are proud of the work that they've done typically. And they want to share that, and they want to share how they got there. So yeah, that's an easy one. That would be one piece of advice. And then find a network. Like as Brookwright has grown, I've come to recognize that I was just drifting into uncharted territory. Yeah. So I joined a group called Tech, which is an entrepreneur coaching group.
Great!
Which has been quite helpful. Then you're surrounded by a network of business owning peers in different industries. But you all kind of share similar problems, and the ideas that come from sitting around that table and sharing your problems are really, really helpful and really powerful. So
that's awesome.
And then in my case as well, the Builders and Brews network, it helps me as much as it's able to help other people, because there are ideas in that room that I haven't thought of, and people in that room that I haven't met before. So that's two different ways that I'm building a network, but I would encourage anybody looking to start a business to do the same thing. Find a network. Maybe it's related to your field that you want to pursue. Maybe it's not, but try and lean in there and get involved and add value to other people where you can.
That's awesome. Thanks, Byron. That's wicked.
Yeah, no worries, Michael.
I've got one more question.
Yeah.
What is your favorite thing right now?
Oh,
it could be anything. It doesn't have to be building, business, whatever related. What is it?
God, this is so bro. But I went back to CrossFit, and I like CrossFit. so that's mine right now. It's related to the self-care thing, but so when I was in trades, very physical for the past 5+ years, I haven't been doing as much of the physical side of it. Yeah. And while my kids were young, I kind of had a couple gap years where I worked on my dad bod. But now that I've gotten back steadily into CrossFit, at CrossFit Above All here in Calgary, it's just, I dig it. I'm back into it. So if I had to pick right now, I'd say that's my favorite thing.
That's freaking wicked. Yeah. I'll put all the notes and links and stuff in the show notes. Byron, thanks so much for being on the show.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. I love chatting about Builders and Brews, and I appreciate that you took the time to sit down with me.
Coming up next, we got Martin Izod from Mulsanne Motorcar. He does so many cool things with cars. He rebuilds Lamborghini Countaches. He rebuilds Jaguar E-Types. You name it, he does it. It's amazing. If it has 4 wheels and a motor, man, you will not believe it. He's got stories for days. Thank you so much for listening. Please take a minute and subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcast. And don't forget, head on over to patreon.com/RebelRebelPod and throw us a couple bucks so we can keep doing this. We have so many stories to tell, and we need your help. Thanks so much.